What's up, everybody? It's JT Sports back to you guys with another video. In this video, I'm here with my New England Patriots 2019 training camp preview. We're going to be previewing some things and some players to watch for you guys going into the New England Patriots training camp for 2019. So before I begin, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Upload NFL videos, NFL content daily. So the New England Patriots. To me, I've said this so many times, but I think New England Patriots are most likely going to end up going back to the Super Bowl this year. And I think that they are a way better team. Well, a better team than what they were the previous season, despite losing two of their best players in Trey Flowers and Rock Gronkowski. And you don't really hear this a lot from teams that are coming off of a Super Bowl win, especially teams that have lost two of their best players on the offensive side and the defensive side of the ball. But, if there's any team that could do that, why not it be the New England Patriots? So this New England Patriots team, I'm very high on, despite being a Pittsburgh Steelers fan and being realistic. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the New England Patriots going back to the Super Bowl this year. So things to watch for me going into training camp obviously has to be the tight end position. Since they lost Rock Gronkowski, they signed Ben Watson, but he's going to be unavailable for a few games due to a suspension. So other than Ben Watson, they have tight end Andrew Beck, Jacob Johnson. They have Matt LaCosse, Steven Anderson, and Ryan Izzo. So all of these guys are the tight ends for the New England Patriots. And I don't really know who's going to be the front runner to start for Ben Watson until he comes back. So training camp is going to be really, really interesting to see which one of these tight ends is going to end up getting a nod week one and who's going to be that starting tight end to enter the New England Patriots lineup. Next up, I want to talk about the halfbacks. They have a lot of talented halfbacks. We have Stoney Michel, Rex Burkhead, Brandon Bolden, Nick Brossette, James White, and Damian Harris. Now, Stoney Michel had a very good rookie season. He probably would have had 1,000 yards if he never ended up missing a couple of games with an injury. But he's a very solid halfback. But the downside on him is like he's not really that good catching the ball like the backfield, which is what keeps him off the field a lot because I had him on fantasy football and on third down situations, unless it was third and short or something like that, they would most likely put a guy like a James White or Rex Burkhead in to replace him since Sony Michel isn't the best receiving back. So he's more of a powerful back that can run in between the tackles and get those tough yards. Then we have a guy like Rex Burkhead who is basically similar to James White, but a little bit more stronger and bigger than what a James White is. And he's a very good receiving back, brings a lot to the New England Patriots. They normally use him inside the red zone when they get to the 20-yard line. I noticed that a lot. They always like getting him involved in the game when it comes to being inside the red zone because he's a big receiving back. So always good to have those good receiving backs, especially a guy as big as this. So then they have Brandon Bolden. I'm not really expecting a lot out of him, but I guess he could, if he's able to make the roster, he would be able to find a way to make it onto the field on special teams. But he's a guy that I'm not really focusing on. Nick Brossette is a guy that I'm really going to focus on when it comes to a sleeper or halfback to end up making his roster because Nick Brossette for LSU was pretty solid last year. I watched a lot of games with him playing in, and he's very interesting to watch because he's like Leonard Fournette, but without the crazy athleticism and speed. But he does have a lot of strength. Very good at running people over. And he has pretty solid speed, so he's a pretty powerful back. So he's a halfback who I'm going to keep my eye on, and who a lot of you guys should keep your eye on because I think we're going to hear his name a lot when preseason rolls around. Next up, we have James White. Now we already know about James White. James White, basically, very good receiving back, very elusive, probably one of the best receiving backs in the game. I'm not calling him the best receiving back, but he's one of the best receiving backs in the game, in my opinion. He's very elusive, very shifty, has very good speed as well. So it's very interesting. The last guy we have is Damian Harris. Now, Damian Harris, very interesting because this guy can do a lot of things. For Alabama, he was a very powerful runner, but he also has some very solid speed to burn you on the outside as well. And he's a very underrated pass catcher as well. For Alabama, he showcased his hands a little bit more than what a lot of people expect out of him. So I think he's a better receiving back than what a lot of people are giving him credit for. So these are all the halfbacks. Some of the halfbacks, if I had to give you some names who I'm going to be keeping tabs on, it's definitely going to be Sonny Michelle, Nick Brosette, and Damian Harris. Those guys really intrigue me, especially Damian Harris, because they drafted him when they already had a very crowded group of halfbacks. So it's going to be very interesting to see how these halfbacks get utilized and which halfback is going to get the most reps during training camp. Who's going to be the number one, number two, number three, and number four halfback who's going to end up making the practice squad. So it's going to be very interesting watching this group of halfbacks throughout training camp. Next up, I want to talk about the wide receivers that I'm very interested in. Now, I'm not going to get into all the wide receivers. You already know about Julian Edelman and those guys, but N'Keal Harry is a rookie that a lot of people have high expectations for, and I think he could end up winning the Offensive Rookie of the Year. So I'm going to keep my eyes on him. But the wide receiver, I'm not going to go through all the wide receivers, but Demaryius Thomas is a guy who I'm really interested in this offseason, especially going into training camp, because here's why. Demaryius Thomas he wasn't one of the best wide receivers, but he was a pretty solid wide receiver during his time in Denver when Peyton Manning was playing it. Then when Peyton Manning retired, he kind of fell off. So I think this is kind of big for a guy like Demaryius Thomas, a guy who's kind of looking for some redemption, and he's on this New England Patriots team for solid offensive coordinator, a guy like a Josh McDaniels, and a great quarterback in Tom Brady. So it's going to be really interesting watching him throughout the training camp for the New England Patriots, seeing what he does. Because Demaryius Thomas is a guy who I think is looking for trying to resurrect his career, because his career has kind of been on the downside the last couple of seasons. Go training camp, he's a guy who I most definitely have my eye on for the New England Patriots. And on the defense side of the ball, we know about the secondary, we know about the linebackers. They got Jamie Collins back, so it's going to be interesting. They got Jamie Collins, they got a couple of other guys as well. But the defensive line, specifically the pass rushers, because they did lose their top pass rusher in Trey Flowers to the Detroit Lions in free agency. So who's going to end up being that guy who replaces him? They have Dietrich Wise, who had 4.5 sacks last season. You got Michael Bennett with 9 sacks. So, other than these guys, I'm looking for a couple of guys who kind of don't really have a lot of hype around their name, like a Michael Bennett or a Dietrich Wise. Somebody who people don't really notice like that. So, it's a lot of people. They drafted a guy out of Michigan. I forgot to write his name down in my notes, but they have some young pass rushers who I'm going to be really interested in seeing through training camp for the New England Patriots. And then when we get back into the offensive line, Yanni Kajus and Isaiah Wynn. Now, Isaiah Wynn is a guy that I'm going to be very interested in seeing him, because he got injured in the offseason last year for the New England Patriots. He was their first round pick. So now they got him at tackle now. Then you also got a guy like a Yanni Kajus. Yanni Kajus, I thought the New England Patriots got a steal when they was able to get Yanni Kajus, because I believe Yanni Kajus is one of the best offensive linemen in this draft. I think he's a first round talent, and I'm going to be interested in seeing how he does in training camp for the New England Patriots as well. On this offensive line, which I think this offensive line for the New England Patriots is going to end up being very, very good. They're very talented. As we already know, they have one of the best offensive line coach and all of the NFL, probably the greatest offensive line coach in NFL history. So a lot of guys on that offensive line, I think that offensive line is going to be really, really talented. Then we got to look at Jarrett Stidham. Jarrett Stidham, the quarterback from Auburn. Last season for Auburn, he was kind of held back by the lack of talent that he had around him. Now he's on this New England Patriots team. Training camp is going to be pretty interesting. Is he going to be the next guy up? Because the New England Patriots and Bill Belichick, these guys have did a great job of drafting young quarterbacks. Like they drafted Jimmy Garoppolo, Jacoby Brissett. So I'm going to be looking forward to seeing how Jarrett Stidham does in training camp and when preseason rolls around, because I think Jarrett Stidham has a little bit of potential to be a pretty solid starter in this league. So those are the guys I'm going to be really interested in watching throughout the New England Patriots training camp. And when it comes to the defensive side of the ball, like I said on the defensive line, I'm just recapping what I said earlier. The defensive line is probably the thing I'm going to be watching the most. I know a lot of people might want me to talk about the linebackers and stuff like that, but I'm just giving you guys what I'm looking for, what I'm going to be watching for. So I'm sorry if I'm not giving too much of an in-depth analysis, but this is just the things that I'm looking at for the New England Patriots going into training camp. And this defensive line is definitely something that's popping out because they lost their leading pass rusher. So which one of these guys are going to step up, Dietrich Wise or Michael Bennett? So this is it for my New England Patriots 2019 training camp preview. Let me know what you guys think about it down in the comment section down below. Also, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos and content. And thanks for watching.